Beez. That just means bees, really, but it's a lot edgier that way. In Beez, we are gonna control these lovely insects that will fly around, collecting nectar. We'll store it in their honeycomb here, if that's the name. No, I'm not one of the greatest entomologists of our age, so if I use words inappropriately, that's okay, because it's just a game about plastic bees flying around. Anyways, you will collect tokens, place them here in your personal display, score them at the end of the game, and that's the heart, and that's the general idea of Beez. Now, more in detail, let me start by telling you that this game has a stunning production, starting, yes, from our lovely bees that are in hard plastic, so colorful, so cute. I just love them. Also, there are little numbers and symbols at the bottom of the pedestal that they are on, but we'll talk about those in a minute. And as for the tiles that will form the play area, again, really impressive, nice, colorful, thick. You will place tokens on them based on color, representing different types of nectars, and even the boards where players will place their nectar tokens. It just looks amazing. And look, it even has two different layers in each section. You see there is a central ring for where you place the small nectar, and then that also holds the larger nectar so the small one doesn't slide around. So much love and care that went into the development and production of the components. That, alas, it's a little disappointing when you realize, at least when I felt the gameplay was a little bit underwhelming. Oh, there's another important thing, of course, for the game to make sense, which is scoring cards. They are divided into different groups based on the color that you see there on top of the lid. Players will have some of these into their hand privately, so those are private scoring cards, private things, private objectives that only the player can score, and then some other ones will be available face up for everybody to score. And at the end of the game, that is what will score. You'll go through each card, play public ones and private ones, and you score based on the objectives that you can complete and how many times and how, based on basically the patterns that you will create on your personal display collecting nectar. So the general idea is, remember, our bees have these symbols here. Players alternate taking turns. When it is your turn, first you declare the direction in which your bee will fly and how far it will go. That symbol here tells you that the bee cannot fly straight in the direction in which it is facing. It always has to turn around. They just like to take those turns. Also, it means that if I decide to go this way, I can go 1 hex or 5 hexes. If I go that way, 2 or 4. If I go this way, 3. And so I declare, for example, now it's my turn. Oh, I forgot to set up some nectar tokens here in that area there. For example, I decide, booyah, that, and I'm starting there. I decide that I'm going to go 1 in that direction. I declare it, I turn the bee that way, I fly that way, and if I end up in an area that has a nectar token adjacent to it, then I place it on my board. And I place it in a space corresponding to the distance I just traveled to collect that token. I traveled by 1, so I can place it anywhere here. And remember, based on which objectives I'm trying to complete, of course, that may matter a lot. Maybe I'm trying to draw a diagonal line across my board, so maybe I'll place it here instead if I'm trying to complete that objective. And that ends my turn. Suppose next turn I decide to move by 2 in that direction, which is allowed. So I decide to move by 2 in that direction. I turn here, I move by 2. Now when I end in the center area of a flower, I take the big nectar token, and I can also collect one of the small ones adjacent to it. And again, I will place them on my board. Remember, I used the 2 move, so I could put them there, again, in case I'm trying to complete those diagonals, and maybe I'm trying to form a pattern that has many different colors next to each other. Stuff like that. That's the kind of things that you will score. That's the idea. If you move to a place and the tokens had already been taken, then you move there and nothing happened. You simply don't collect anything. If you collect a token, you would collect a token that you cannot place because all the available slots for that kind are already taken. Then you also don't take the token. So really the first couple of turns may be exciting as you collect a lot. And then you kind of get stuck because you're in areas where you cannot really pick up anything because there's nothing left, or there's something left and you don't have the right slots. And so it kind of like slows down a little bit. And you continue like this until a player has collected 12 tokens, has placed 12 tokens on the board, which really does not take long, especially since there are moves in which you will collect 2. When a player has collected 12 tokens, that triggers the end of the game. When the game is over, players will go through all of the public cards that are available for scoring. This gives you a sense of the kind of things they will score. You go through all the cards that are publicly available. Players reveal their private objectives, and they score those also, and then of course the highest score wins the game. So this is Beez, and this is a game that, alas, I found disappointing. I was so excited when I saw these components in the rulebook, and the rules were pretty clear, and they seem to be, it sounds like a straightforward puzzle with some strategy in there, but it is just over too soon in my opinion. Frankly, it feels like a filler trapped in the body of a medium length game, of a medium length intro game, say, in the category of, say, Ticket to Ride. Because the heart is that of a filler, because after a couple of moves, you're set on a certain path, the certain areas are not available, there are certain things that you're committed to score, and you kind of like go a little by default. Okay, I need that token, and that's what I need, and there's only one left, so I gotta maneuver around. But it really, the first 5-10 minutes that feel like the biggest decisions are going to be taken. And that means that really the good part of the game, where you have decisions, where you're planning, you're really studying my opponent, that means that almost it takes as long to set up the game as it takes to play again the good part, which is the first half maybe of the game. Definitely setup is disproportionately elaborate based on what gameplay then is. These flowers, you have to set them up in a specific pattern, and that's why I just follow what the rulebook says. I simply match the sample that they give you here, so I know it's right. Then you have to add these tokens. Maybe I should have said this early, but I played the game only with 2 players. With my daughter Amelia, who is now 11. No problem playing the rules from the point of view of the complexity, playing the rules. But she had my same reaction, which was a little bit like, meh, it's okay. Nothing that is terrible. Nothing was like, oh my god, this game is unplayable. It just felt a little quaint, a little unexciting. And I play with 2 players only, and I'm happy that I did. After I did that, I felt absolutely no desire of playing it with more players, because then I'm afraid that really analysis paralysis will become a problem. Because you have your mainly solitaire puzzle that you're trying to solve, you're trying to figure out how I can go there and there, da-da-da-da. And again, sometimes the next objective is absolutely obvious. I need that freaking token. And so it's just about how to get there, how to plot your path. But it may be that then my opponent takes that token. So with 2 players, that doesn't happen quite as much. But if I have more players, then I can see how the board may change. What's available may change from turn to turn. And that means I cannot plan ahead. When my turn comes and the thing that I really wanted to do is not available, then because it was changed by the player right before me, then I'm stuck plotting a new course while everybody is there sitting and waiting for their turn and trying to create a plan that they may never be able to perform because how I change. So the game has a strong solitaire feel to it, but you're still going to mess up people's plans and you're still going to cause analysis paralysis that way. The game is just too limited that I don't think is gonna be worth in trying to do my thing, while at the same time I try to figure out what you want to do and I try to take your token. It still feels solitary in that sense that your strategy is not gonna be dictated or really shaped by ways in which you're trying to prevent other people from doing other stuff. You do your thing and you mess up other things, possibly. But again, not creating really an extra level of interest, in my opinion, but just creating more opportunities for analysis paralysis. So it is a game that takes a while to set up based on what it is. Mind you, I play bigger games that take a lot longer to set up. But you set up this beautiful production, and really after 3, 4, 5 tokens that you have collected, well, five tokens, almost half of the game is gone, and that will take you 5 minutes. Then you have this other second half of the game, which is a lot more interesting, a lot less interesting. Oh, by the way, I forgot to set up these also. See, that's also tricky. You start playing the game, you realize that, you gotta do it again. So the first half of the game is okay, but takes almost not much longer to play than it takes to set up the game. And then you have the second part, the last, say, 10 minutes, which just feels, again, too long for what the game is, in which you do a lot of readjusting, flying into empty areas, finally collecting that token. The second half of the game just feels very dry, very well. I need that token to complete that set, and that's it. So, my problem with Beez is just it feels unexciting, and it feels a weird hybrid between the gameplay of a filler and the body, the procedures, the time it takes to play a bigger game. Frankly, if I had time to play this one, I'll play Ticket to Ride instead, and it's just worth the time to set it up and have fun and all the different levels of strategy and all the reasons why Ticket to Ride is a great game. So it's just in between. I wish there was, Beez Express that sets up in 2 minutes and plays in 5. I don't know how that will work, but I think it'll be more interesting in this one. So as is, really, this game, again, is not a terrible game. There are just so many better alternatives that give you more strategy and more excitement for a lot less trouble, for a more logistically elegant experience.